country is
China.
Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Tajahau. My name is Binti Abdullah and I'm today going to talk about country that we chose, which is China. China has the largest population in the world and a history that goes back more than 5,000 years. This history has shaped its art, buildings and culture, which are influenced by ideas of harmony and respect from Confucianism. Nowadays, China's economy is growing fast and is a major player in global manufacturing. It has the second biggest economy and plays a big role in world trade. When doing business in China, it's important to understand cultural concepts like face. In Chinese is 面子, which means dignity and respect, and another one is 关系, which refer to the importance of personal connections. To be successful in China, you need to really understand this cultural value, their tradition, or basic language, not just the business market. By understanding this can attract them to doing a collaboration business with us. Alright, move to the next part is negotiating tips. When it comes to negotiating in China, it's closely linked to its culture. Negotiating in China is influenced by cultural practices. For the first one is use formal title. In Western business practices, it might be common to quickly move to first names, but in China, showing respect for someone's position and status is vital. Always address people by their full titles and surname. This isn't just about being polite, it's a way to establish credibility and trust. When you meet for the first time, greet your counterpart with a formal handshake and exchange business card. When offering your card, do so with both hands as a sign of respect, and take a moment to examine the card you receive before putting it away. For the second one is build relationships. Building strong relationship, known as 关系, which is connection, is very important, and this often means spending time together socially before talking about business matters. Chinese people really care about the relationship. This can build a trust and comfortable with you and not communicate just business things. For the third one is indirect communication. Chinese negotiators tend to avoid direct way of communicating to keep things smooth and prevent arguments. So, watch for non-obvious signal or the body language. This means that feedback, criticism, or disagreement might be expressed in a every subtle way. These styles help to prevent embarrassment and preserve, which is crucial Chinese culture. The last one is practice patience. Be patient as making deals can take a long time. There might be lengthy discussion, rounds of approval, and multiple meetings before any decision is made. This process can be frustrating if you used to faster pace negotiation, but it's important to remain patient. Rushing through negotiation can be perceived as disrespectful and may lead to misunderstanding. Instead, showing patience signals that you respect the process and the importance of the decision being made. Next, we move to another topic is negotiation process. For the first process is preparation. Before entering negotiation, it's essential to research the Chinese company and the people you will be meeting. Learn about their company history, industry, and decision-making process. Knowing their background helps us understand their values and strategies. It's also important to be aware of the cultural importance of hierarchy and face, which is 面子 in China, as this will influence their negotiation style. With this understanding, we can adjust your approach to meet their expectation, showing respect and setting a positive tone for the talks. The process is initial meeting. The first meetings are very important for a good negotiation. In China, these meetings are more about making connection than talking about business right away. Chinese people value trust and relationships, so it's a good time to get to know the people you are dealing with. Building strong relationships or guanxi is key and can help with easier negotiation later. It's also essential to show that you respect Chinese culture. Simple things like paying attention to the most senior people first or taking an interest in their custom can really help. For the third process is formal proposal. In the negotiation stage, where we start making formal offer, it's very important to be clear and respectful. In Chinese business, it's good to get straight to the point and keep things simple, but don't be too pushy. You should also think about the Chinese way of valuing order and rank, and make sure your offer reflects that. Be ready to discuss different parts of your offer. As Chinese negotiators like to find solutions that work well for everyone. It's not just about agreeing on something, it's also about making sure everyone feels respected and keeps their dignity. The last process is closing. Closing a deal in China typically takes longer because it's a more deliberate process. Decisions they often need the green light from top management, which means the deal has to go through various levels of the company hierarchy before it's complete. It's important to be patient and not to push too hard during this time, as that could come off as rude or even ruin the deal. The aim is to establish a lasting relationship, not just to make a one-time sale. In summary, if foreign partners learn about the unique way Chinese people negotiate, they can understand the culture better and create a strong, long-term relationship with their Chinese colleagues. Thank you.
Hello! Today, I will explain the bargaining behavior that exhibits in China. So, the first one is relationship building, which is known as guanxi. The importance of interpersonal relationship, guanxi, is paramount. Building trust and rapport is a crucial first step before diving into the negotiation. The second one is collectivism versus individualism. Collectivism is a core aspect of Chinese culture. This emphasizes on a group harmony, social relationship, and community over the individual interests. In bargaining, this means that decisions are often made with the consensus of the group in mind rather than personal gain. Negotiation may prioritize the interests of their organization or group over the personal objective, which leading to a more collaborative approach to reaching the agreement. And the last one is indirect communication. Chinese communication styles tend to be indirect, which are focused on subtlety and non-verbal cues. This affects the bargaining dynamic as negotiation may not explicitly state their demand or position, but rather hint at them through the context, tone, or body language. This indirect approach requires careful interpretation and a keen awareness of the subtitle of the communication. For the second part, I will explain how cultural China influences the bargaining dynamic. So, the first one is guanxi. Guanxi is a personal relationship which is central to the Chinese negotiation. Building trust and strong relationship before and during negotiation is crucial. The strength of guanxi can significantly impact the willingness to share information and make concessions, leading to more favorable outcomes. The second one is face, or known as mianzi. Mianzi, or face, is about preserving the dignity and social standing. Negotiations aim to avoid causing embarrassment or losing face, which lead to an indirect communication style and careful, respectful negotiation tactics. Maintaining face can influence how disagreements are handled and the overall tone of the negotiation. And the last factor is hierarchy and respect for the authorities. Chinese culture places a strong emphasis on hierarchy and respect for the authorities. Decisions are often made by the senior members, and understanding the importance of rank can influence who you negotiate with and how you approach the decision. Respecting hierarchy is crucial for gaining favor and achieving a successful outcome.
18块，我给你15块的，好不好？
哦，这个15块，
好不好？给你
哦，15块
特价的，
特价，那13块怎么样？
不行，
13.5毛，可以吗？
这个不能再便宜一点吗？
最低的15，
你说这个
最低90块了，不要
真的啊？
没有，我不讲要往下的，我不讲。
Hello everyone, my name is Erlyna Ernis Binti Abdullah. Today I would like to discuss about decision making style in China or Chinese culture. Decision making style in Chinese business tradition are mostly influenced by Confucianism, where the Confucian concept of guanxi emphasizes the importance of relationship built on values such as unity, loyalty, and decency. These Confucians play an important role in shaping the decision-making style in Chinese society. Okay, did you know when we deal a business in China, the process of decision-making is slower, which will take a long time to decide. Chinese will do the homework, they work hard and identify the opportunity. It is because they want to be sure every aspect of an issue has been analyzed in depth and then reanalyzed because the Chinese are holistic thinkers. So when dealing with China, patience is number one. So let's discuss the important features of how decisions are made in China. The first is collectivism. In Chinese culture, collectivism is really important. It prioritizes the well-being of the group, family, or organization instead of just focusing on individual desire. When making decisions, they often think about how it will affect everyone involved rather than just focusing on individual preference. The second is the hierarchical structure. The way decisions are made in China tend to be hierarchy. This means that higher up, such senior leaders or officials, usually can make the final decision, showing that people respect their authority and experience. Because of this structure, the process can be slower since information has to move up and down through the level of leadership. Third is consensus building. Although decisions are often made by the higher up, it is important to get everyone's input before making a final decision. In this way, it maintains peace among different groups and ensures that all views are considered. Fourth is indirect communication in decision-making style. In Chinese culture, they might use indirect way of communicating. This means they might not say what they really think if they disagree, just to avoid conflict or awkward. While this can create some confusion, but the goal is usually to keep a good relationship between the two parties or more parties. The last features how decision made in China is long-term orientation. In China, decision makers usually prioritize long-term outcomes over short-term gains. This shows that they really consider future implication and sustainability rather than immediate result.
That in China, curiosity because very super fun, isn't it? Yes. Thank you. So shall we start? Why doesn't he want to know me personally? Why business all the time? We have here our new bottle, our new packaging for the bottle. It's actually reusable, so it's nice for the consumer that nowadays is very concerned about the environment. I can show you the performance. Oh, he talks too much. Yes.
Okay, next is centralization and decentralization. Let's see which organization is centralization and decentralization. Okay, for the centralization in many state-owned enterprise and government institutions, decision-making tend to be highly centralized. The central government has a strong influence over economic policy and important business choice through order from the top leadership. Decentralization helps maintain a consistent policy application across large area but can also limit to creativity and the ability to respond quickly to changes. While for decentralization, mostly private business, particularly those in business competition, often use decentralization method to be quicker and more adaptable to changes in the market. This company might give power to local manager or teams to make decisions that fit their specific areas and while still following the main goals of the company.
So, in the short, decision-making style in China are mostly hierarchy and collectivism, while a tend toward centralization in state-owned enterprise and government institutions. However, private enterprise may show more to decentralization approach depending on market needs while still aligning with broader organization goals.
Chinese people have two types in their communication. Their communication styles can be verbal and non-verbal communication. Chinese culture has a communication style that is often indirect and contextual, making it highly complex. It's essential to be mindful of the indirect nature of Chinese communication. Some examples of high-context communication are using indirect language or subtle cues to convey a negative response instead of declining directly, which is they not speaking out in the meeting despite being given the opportunity, as silence can be used to mean dissent as well as confusion. Such an indirect communication style is often used to avoid conflict and maintain harmony in relationships, which are key in China and in the way business is conducted here. For example, they may not say no outright but will use phrases like maybe, we will see, or it's difficult to express disagreement or hesitation. It's crucial to read between the lines and understand that a lack of direct refusal does not necessarily indicate agreement. Next is politeness and respect. When corresponding with Chinese professionals, address them using their titles and last names. Using appropriate titles such as Mr., Misters, or Doctor is advisable until invited to use first names. Doing so demonstrates respect for their hierarchy structure and contributes to a positive professional rapport. Address your Chinese counterparts formally and be mindful of their rank and status within the organization. Number 3 is language. Standard Chinese, known as Putonghua or Mandarin, is based on the Beijing dialect and is the official national language China, and it is widely used in business setting. Most people can read, write, and speak Mandarin as it is taught in schools. China is a tonal language, meaning that a single word may have multiple meanings depending on how it is pronounced. Be aware that different regions in China have their own dialects. While Mandarin is understood nationwide, using local dialects, if you are familiar, can create a positive impression.
Master Will, I've been looking for you for years. Please teach me your ways. Master, I'm here!
Why are you here?
You hit my head 3 times, meaning come at 3 a.m. at night. Also, you had your hand behind your back, meaning I have to come from the back door. Also, you have a long mustache, meaning I will succeed.
Your Chinese friend will very likely not say things directly, so watch out for their posture to see what they're feeling, and also watch out for their tone of voice. If they're talking like this, they're probably not very interested or don't agree with.
Non-verbal communication. Some of the elements of non-verbal communication in China include things like body language, eye contact, gestures, facial expressions, and the use of silence. Some say that non-verbal expression is even more powerful than verbal communication, as these indirect methods play a vital role in our day-to-day lives. This style of communication is common in Chinese business culture, and it means that messages are conveyed. First is body language. In Chinese business culture, body language is an essential form of communication. The non-verbal cues often convey more meaning than spoken words. For instance, maintaining a composed posture and avoiding excessive hand gesture is important. The last gesture may be perceived as aggressive or disrespectful. instead, a gentle handshake is preferred when greeting someone, reflecting respect rather than assertiveness. Second is gesture. Polite notes when greeting someone are common. Gesture with the hands not so frequent in the China country. When Chinese want to direct attention, they use their whole hand to point instead of their index finger. Next, eye contact. While eye contact is generally seen as a sign of confidence in many Western cultures, in China, it can be perceived differently depending on the context and relationship between individuals involved in negotiation. Too much eye contact may be considered disrespectful or aggressive. Be mindful of hierarchy differences when making eye contact. Lowering your eyes slightly when speaking to a senior person shows respect. Last but not least, the use of silence. Silence can be a powerful tool in Chinese communication. It may indicate contemplation or disagreement, but can also serve as a strategy to create pressure on the other party to fill the void with concession or additional information. Rushing to fill silence can be seen as impatient or disrespect. So, do not rush to fill silence. Allow your counterpart time to respond and think.
Number 1. Brutal work culture. Every East Asian country has a term for really brutal work cultures and long working hours. You have karoshi in Japan, guarosa in Korea, and guolaosi in China. Number 2. Patriarchy and rape culture. Confucius literally said that women must obey their husbands. So you could imagine the kind of sexist and patriarchal shit that happens when people abide by this kind of thinking. The blame is always on the woman. Number 3. Lookism. In China, Korea, and Japan, you are required to put a picture of your face on your resume. And it's a fact that if you are way too ugly, you are not going to get hired. And that's not even considering how normal people, everyday people, treat you just by how you look. Number 4. Bullying. Now I know bullying happens in every single country, but it's pretty much normalized in East Asia, because Confucius and Confucian culture basically has a survival of the fittest mentality. If you're weak, gotta toughen up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And if you can't do that, sucks to suck. And because of that, no one cares about each other at all. It's the facade of harmony and collectivism. Everyone wants just to get ahead of everyone else. Which brings me to number 5. The culture of saving face. People would rather lie to protect their own egos than to maybe admit their flaws, be vulnerable for the benefit of humanity. That's why a lot of East Asian governments always tries to cover up their problems from Western media.
After watching that videos, it's clear that Confucius value play a significant role in social or professional environment in East Asian country, particularly in China. But let's take a moment to break down on what is Confucius value and how this value influence on conflict management in this society. Confucianism or Confucius value are based on the teaching from over 2,500 years ago. It more than just an idea. It's a framework on how people interact, how they behave, and also how they communicate or building a relationship. Confucianism emphasizes hierarchy, maintaining a social harmony, respecting elders, and valuing the family members. This principle has deeply influenced a Chinese society for over a centuries. So the first point of the brutal work culture, the Confucianism thought to be the important to be diligent,
loyalty and respecting authorities. So this issue can make a conflict management a bit tricky because the burnout of or the work-life balance might have viewed as a challenging the authority or also disrupting the harmony in the workplace that Confucianism values are so highly. Next is patriarchy. Confucianism has historically promoted the patriarchal society, whereas the men has the whole of primary power on the woman, and the woman need to be obedient from that. So in the workplace, this make resolving conflict around gender-based issue particularly challenging, as raising this concern can be disrespectful or also disrupting the established social order. Lookism or discrimination based on appearance is widespread in some cases. So addressing this conflict can related to lookism can be difficult because these issues are often overlooked or preserve the image of the company or individual involved. Bullying. Those in the lower position might be expected to endure the mistreatment that they face without complaint, as the challenging of superior could disrupt the group harmony and expose the vulnerability that Confucian culture does not encourage. So these make the managing conflict related to bullying are particularly tough, as a victim need to be pressured to stay silent. Lastly is the face-saving. Confucianism, where maintaining one's dignity and social standing is crucial. In a practice, this often means avoiding perfect confrontation, admitting a mistake, and also openly addressing conflict. While this can help maintain to surface level or harmony, it also can resolve the issue festering beneath the surface. In conclusion, Confucian values undoubtedly promote social harmony and respect within Chinese society. However, when it comes to conflict management, the same values can sometimes make it harder to address and resolve the underlying issues. They emphasize on the hierarchy, saving faces, and maintaining the harmony of the society often means the conflict are avoided rather than being solved directly as fast as they can, which can sometimes make the problem worse even more. So as we think about this point, it's important to strike a balance. While the Confucianism offers the valuable also need in maintaining social order, there are also need to adapt this value to our current generation in the modern world, where the addressing conflict openly and fairly is crucial for a long-term harmony and success. Thank you for your time and attention.